I did many projects, but I wasn't very proud of them, most of them. And so, yeah, I decided to move more into art. And I had this calling. I was talking to someone about making this career change. And making a career change when something goes bad, like you're not successful at something, is rather easy. But it's hard if you build a career on something and you're doing well and starting something new. If the thing that you left or you're leaving is working fine, that's difficult and can be scary. I was talking to a friend in a different field. He's not a designer, but he had a great career and started something new. But it was difficult because he was doing so well.
Yeah.
And people love to start to say something like begin a new life or start something new. But if you want to be like have a new life, that means you have to die first.
Hey, welcome to the meaningful and fun chats with designers around the world, where I'm, Nicholas, am on the journey to speak with 195 designers from 195 countries. And this is an episode 5 with designer, artist, a founder of the Bloomfield design community in Barcelona, and the Double Play design studio, Samuel Siebler. Have a good listening. I'm very glad to meet you finally.
Thank you.
How is your day? What's on your mind today?
Many things. It was intense today, doing some client work, but also working for preparing the talk tomorrow. We have a Bloomfield talk, my design community in Barcelona. And yeah, there's many things to organize. And so, yeah, always busy. Even if there's less work, client work, there's always something that you can do.
Oh,
Wow, it
yeah.
got really dark.
There's probably some cloud because we have pretty sunny, but it's very cloudy looking through the window. And I think some cloud just came momentarily and the sky instantly got dark. So that
Where are you
was
based?
probably it. I'm
Where are you
based
based?
from Lithuania. Kaunas is a bit smaller city near the capital, like 100
Nice.
kilometers away, but I'm not in it. I'm like near it as well, in a more village type of community.
Okay, cool, cool.
And
Nice.
you, are you in Barcelona?
I'm in Barcelona, yeah. I'm German, but I moved to Barcelona for the sun,
Oh,
for the creative space here,
yeah,
for the people.
yeah.
I think it's
So
amazing for creatives here.
is it the vitamin D that the sun, or what's?
Yeah, I think it's just beautiful when you can always go outside. When I check the weather in Germany, it's always 10 degrees warmer here. So
Yeah, yeah. So what is the temperature at the moment?
it's super hot. It's 25 maybe,
Okay, that's
like
pretty good.
getting close to 30. But
30
yeah,
is my limit. 25 is it's a good temperature. I think we have similar at the moment as well.
yeah. Yeah, cool. Just checking your mustache. Did you ever thought of making it a little bit more dangerous?
I thought
It's getting there. Yours is getting there. Oh
I
yeah,
thought about that. Sometimes I'm doing like this, but there is mixed emotions from the people that I'm getting. Some people like it, some people saying you should cut it immediately.
these are just opinions, right? Everyone.
Of course, of course. I'm the one that decides. So, what about your mustache? For how long are you keeping them?
We're making now talk about visual design of the mustaches.
Of
I like
course.
to trim it.
Yeah.
I had as like when I started last year, I had a little bit pointier, but it looked really strange. It was like pointed towards the bottom.
Do you
Like
like how do you take care of your mustache? Do you spend a lot of time with them or you're like whatever?
I just let it be.
Yeah, same, same.
But once in a while, I trim it.
Sometimes.
When it
Yeah,
gets out of control, it's like censoring me, the mustache, then I like say, no, no,
I think
not with
soon
me.
I will need to take care of them as well. The time is coming. Oh,
Nice.
it got dark again. But you mentioned about Germany. So I thought initially that you're from Spain.
Oh, I'm German Peruvian. My mom is from Peru and my dad is
Yeah.
from Germany.
That
But
would be so
I
cool.
lived most of my time in Germany, so there's not much Latin left.
So
But
what
I'm
do you,
rediscovering.
that's nice, at your own pace. So how do you consider yourself? Are you German, like when you present yourself to other people, or are you Spanish, or are you Argentinian?
Peruvian.
Oh, Peruvian. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, that would be creative. Let's just say Argentina. I think I
Peruvian, Peruvian.
most of the time I just make it easy and just say I'm German or German Peruvian. And it's like design, for example, my grandma thinks I'm a graphic designer, and that's as close as it gets. I'm not getting into the differences between UX and UI design. And maybe the digital designer, my grandma in Peru doesn't know what a digital designer is. So I said, I make websites or I'm a graphic designer.
Yeah.
So same with my nationality. I think especially if you moved a lot, even in the same country, and I moved to many different places, you don't have this sense of identity from the place so much where you were born. So
Hmm.
when someone, for example, says, "Hey, complaining about Germany," or "I don't care so much," and I think if you were born in a place and you identify a lot with a place, people get really attached to that. And if someone criticizes their country, they
Yeah.
identify it with themselves, so they get angry. But I think if you moved a lot, it sounds a bit cliche, but you're just a human being somewhere on Earth. I'm somewhat conditioned. I have certain traits of Germans, like liking to things. I don't know. There's certain things like being like certain organized. I think even in design, organized design, for example, visual design, like
Yeah.
grid-based design or something. So yeah, or complaining. I think when I travel, like complaining about like why something doesn't work as it should work.
Are you strict as Germans? I had this
Sometimes, yeah.
I had this stereotype that the Germans are like very strict, they're much on time, and it may be hard with them to speak about politics or religion.
Okay. I think with most people, people don't want to talk about
Probably,
religion or,
probably.
yeah. I think what makes Germans is their rules, and Germans love to abide by the rules. The best example is the red light, the traffic light. Germans just wait. There's no car, and they just wait because the rule is you just walk when it's green. When it's
Yeah,
red, you don't walk.
yeah.
Um,
Clean the
and
jeans.
Ger- and in Spain, no one cares. So yeah.
You
What
like
about
it?
you?
Oh. About what exactly? About the what I consider myself?
Yeah.
So I'm Lithuanian, but I really enjoy as well traveling. And from the young age, had a dream that I want to live at least for a while or try to live in another place than Lithuania.
Mhm.
And whenever I go and live in some other place for a while, I get to meet the people, the locals, and I agree with you. When you live and go around so many places, you get a feeling that your home is the world as well. So
Yeah.
I get the feeling, but I present myself as a Lithuanian. I'm proud of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And so that is that why you started the series of the interviews? Because the name is saying you want to talk to
kind
designers
of,
from every country.
it's I really it's easy for me to go up to the stranger on the street and ask him very deep questions, for example. And I love it. And wherever I go, I usually end up meeting some random people, having some random situations that I love it. And I thought of this idea that I'm working, but I would like to meet more people in design. I
Mhm.
rarely do, and I would like to travel as well. So why not to speak with one person from one country in the world, and then I will have and this friends community around the world as well. I can create. I thought so many ideas how this project where could it go? It could be a community. It could be like some type of global meetup or something. Who
Yeah.
knows? But at the moment. I want to do as simple as possible, and with every episode, just to upgrade and add a little plus because I'm a perfectionist. And if I think too much and don't do small steps, I will not do anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also thinking about doing a podcast last
What
year.
kind?
Yeah, I also wanted to interview designers, but then it depends how you do it. I think if you there are a few already, and if you want to make it on a very high level, like visually and editing wise, it's a lot of work. Even scheduling a call, having the call, post editing, it's a lot of work. So yeah, it's always a question, what are your priorities? And for me, it's I have different priorities, my community work or my client work or now my artistic work. This is where my effort goes. But yeah, it's amazing. You get in touch with great people and and you also share with others. It's nice to have a conversation, you and
Mm-hmm.
me or you're someone else. But this just stays with you more or less. But if you share it, other people have the opportunity to see
Yeah,
that.
100%. And I think I will close the window because it's making some sound outside. And I hope it will not be like in the video. That wouldn't be good. Yeah,
I couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear the sound though.
it was annoying me. Yeah, but I think with that we have different states or periods in life where we do different things that bring us meaning, and we have limited amount of time for that as well. For me, I many times think that I can do much more, plan much more. Turns out I can do one third of that. How is it for you? How do you, so you now are working in double play, you are sometimes traveling and creating these awesome creative videos as well, doing the community. How do you manage it all?
Wow, good question. I think everyone or most people have this impression of they want to do more things than they can actually do. Even yesterday, I had the idea I was working a lot on different things, but when I say working a lot, for most people, it sounds tougher than it is. I love to work and I take gaps in between. It's not just pure just sitting there for how many hours on the desk. I move, I work here, I work there, I go there, talk to that person. Also, networking is a big part of what I do. I like to, maybe what you do with the interviews, I like to try to every day talk to one person, like having coffee with one person. That could be a
Mhm.
potential client, that could be a creative friend, that could be not always with the intention to make a project or something, just yeah, networking. But I think, yeah, in a positive way. I think networking sounds very technical. And
Like,
yesterday I was busy and at night I asked like, what did I do today? Because like
yeah.
I was busy the whole day doing this and that, but the time just flies by so quickly, especially if you have many projects. I think if you have one project or two projects, you can really focus on that. And but if you have the community work, then the work, like my artistic work that I recently, and then this and that, and a little this, and then the whole day passes by so quickly.
Oh, there's so many questions that I want to ask from that. So, first, so what is your creative work that you're mentioning? Is it like, what is it? I'm very curious.
I'm in a transition period right now where I'm like, I was working in design for a few years, but I'm somewhat frustrated, let's say, about not having the kind of creative freedom that I would like to have. So I'm moving from design to art. So I'm keep designing, and maybe we can talk about that later, that how there's a pull towards design. But because I build clients, I build relationships in that area. But like where I see myself long term is more art, and that can be painting, prints, sculptures, maybe even architecture. I would like to expand in different areas, but mostly what I'm looking for is creative freedom. I think what most people, most creatives, is like a lot of editing and doing what the client wants and arguing and more and more iteration. At some point, it's
Enough.
to be honest, it's complaint. I was even talking about that today and yesterday. It's complaining on a high level because I'm doing well, and we as designers, I think most of us, we're having a good life compared to other jobs like construction workers. When you have to
Oh,
work in
yeah,
the middle of the
yeah,
sun,
actually.
you're sweating, you have to carry bags of sand. This physically very demanding, and I think the demanding part of design for me, and as far as I know other people, it's very psychologically demanding because
Yeah,
you're somewhat attached to what you do and someone feedbacking it all the time and critiquing all the time. it's difficult to detach yourself from that because you're
It's
somehow like, hey,
personal a
yeah, you
bit.
take it very, it's very easy to say, yeah, just detach yourself or forget you. You go, damn, if someone
It's
says
super
like
hard.
the layout is not good or this looks boring, this feels like you're boring.
Yeah,
Okay, it's
yeah,
me who's boring. And yeah, but it's like the creative freedom because I did many projects and often what happens, there's excitement in the beginning, some projects, and then there's one
as you
more
go.
iteration, one more iteration, and at some point you don't even recognize the vision anymore. It's like, wow, okay, I make money with that, but it's not something that I'm proud of. And this is something for me, I've decided at the beginning of this year, maybe at the end of last year, the most important driver, there is money, of course, but the most important thing for me in terms of values in
Yeah,
the creative space is be doing something that I'm proud of. Because this is in the end something that I was reading a book, for example, about Miro, is a Spanish artist, and he was, I don't know if I find the book. Anyway, it's up there.
is it the red
And
one?
yeah, no, this is logo design. And I like the idea this man was working for decades, and it could be in a book. Probably he could fill up more books, but it's nice to being proud and looking back when you're like, let's say 60 or something. I mean, I still
Yeah,
have time, but like if you're looking back and you just did projects, yeah, I made it for the money. It's your life. It's your life energy, your life, whatever you call it, your yeah, your time. It's your and you spend it for something just to make money, but you're not really proud of. You don't want to show it and to others, and you don't want to even look at it yourself. For me, it's almost like wasting your time because it's okay, but I think there's higher kind of fulfillment. There's money, but if you go higher, it's like doing something that you're proud of. And yet that's something I realized at the end of last year. I did many projects, but I wasn't very proud of them, most of them. And so, yeah, I decided to move more into art. And I had this calling. I think that a friend asked me if are you one of these person that changes the goals all the times? And I wouldn't necessarily say so. I think I've just followed, I had the same vision and this kind of creative freedom that I was longing
yeah.
for years or maybe longer. I searched in UI design and there's not too much creative freedom in UI
It's
design or UX design.
100%.
It's very functional, very usability is top of mind. There's not much space for
Yeah,
craziness or creative
yeah.
expression there. Maybe in web design in some cases, but not too much. There's not too much demand for that. Most people want the clean, sleek Apple, Uber, Airbnb look, but no one wants tech. And I get it. If you're a client and you have an app or whatever, you want
Hmm.
it for users to work. You don't want the user to look for the button because the button looks so unconventional, so
Yes,
creative
yes.
that they don't read. No, make it a black or blue button so everyone understands. So yeah, so it's not that I changed really the vision. It's more like where is I changed the target where I see where I think I can fulfill this calling or this need
Purpose.
for creative. Yeah, it's not. I'm not sure about purpose, but yeah, it's where I think I can fulfill that, and it's not so much in UX UI design, but more
Yes.
in art.
What
But this
about
transition, sorry.
no, you can say I interrupted.
I think the transition, I was talking to someone about making this career change and making a career change when something goes bad, like you're not successful at something is rather easy, but it's hard if you build a career on something and you're doing well and starting something new, if the thing that you left or you're leaving is working fine, that's difficult and can be scary. I was talking to a friend in a different field. He's not a designer, but he had a great career and started something new, but it was difficult because he was doing so well.
Yeah.
And people start to say something like begin a new life or start something new. But if you want to be like have a new life, that means you have to die first. That's
Oh,
what
for
he said.
sure. For sure.
And this sounds not so romantic anymore. Starting a new life sounds great, but it can be a bit frightening. But it's okay.
I okay, you did the project with I saw recently your project with the champions, and it was the mix of creativity and in UI UX design that you were speaking about. And I think that really feels creative, unlike majority of the UX that you said are like UX UI that are more functional than creative.
Yeah, and I love the project that we did, but I also have to say that this was our social good project. So we said one project last year we wanted to do for free for, let's say, society or giving back. And so we did it for free, and the client therefore gave us a lot of freedom, a lot of creative space because they got a free project and they value it. They know that this is worth a lot. So they gave us a lot of freedom. And yeah, and that's why we could do almost everything. There were a few things, but in general, they let us just do. And this is not what happens with most cases. Normally, the client is very involved and changes it a lot. And yeah, I think if it was a normal project, the client would have requested many changes, and this would not be
Yeah.
the outcome.
Are you
So in
happy?
this sense, it was not.
Yeah.
It was more like a side project because I think this is very popular. Many designers now do side projects, and I think this comes from you're not really fulfilled with the normal client work. So what you do is on your side for free, mostly for yourself. You do a little project that could be a creative website, that could be a poster or something, and so yeah, and I think that's what people really geek about on Dribble or X or Instagram. Is like these are the coolest project most of the time, at least visually. The ones where there's no restrictions from clients or
Yes,
technical
yeah,
restriction where you can just do. And often this is, yeah, side projects, but it's not real work. It's not like in the sense of client work most of
yeah.
the time. This is very
And
difficult, like having a client that fully trusts you and
mhm.
lets you do whatever you want. Some clients say it at the beginning, but they later intervene.
Yeah, that's pretty usual. But how I think the art industry is as well different from the normal design industry. As you say, it's more functional, more client related, and art, it's other community as well. You probably get paid by writing projects and be receiving from supporters. And I recently, this weekend, was in the gallery opening. And I saw that and spoke with the person that is creating paintings. And he was previously animator. And he said, yeah, the
Hmm.
transition was quite interesting, but now I get paid by like randomly by people buy my paintings. And how do you think that are you going to work on your creative side as a side thing to make yourself that kind of purpose that we spoke about fulfilled? Or are you going to, like in your studio, for example, match together that creative side and design and maybe go look for the more creative projects, more approving clients?
No, this is aside from the studio, and I'm not making any money from art yet. And I also like, to be honest, I don't want to think too early about monetizing art.
Yeah.
I just enjoy that freedom that I have because if you go too quickly into like how can you monetize it, then you get into, oh, maybe I can do posters and then I sell the posters. What kind of posters would sell better? And then
Yeah.
what would be popular posters? What is a good style? What do people like? Then you're getting into graphic design, and then you're in design again, or focusing too much on what do other people want? What does the market want? And yeah, I enjoy this not knowing. This is a new world, like the art world. And yeah, it's an interesting situation. Actually, it's pretty fun because it's not knowing. It's almost like starting from not from zero because obviously I learned many things in design, and this helps me also about marketing yourself, about the connections that I made, especially in Barcelona. There are many galleries, and I know many people here. So I'm not starting from zero, but yeah, it's starting new, and this not knowing is actually interesting. It's
Yeah.
like exploration phase.
It's like a wild west I'm super inspired when I'm reading the history when people go with a boat across the ocean or around the world. And it feels something similar on some kind when you're on your own and exploring the new field. But
Yeah.
what is art for you? Is it, I saw and I got inspired as well when you went to Morocco and you filmed videos of yourself painting and exploring that visual side.
Like the question is, what is art for me?
Yeah,
I think like maybe there is a better definition, but that's my way of comparing design and art. Design is more like an expression of my thoughts and feelings, and I use my creativity to let this out. And art, I use my creative skills, but to help solve someone's problem. Someone wants to sell something online, and then you create a website. And both, like in art and design, you both use your creative skills. Both can be very visual, or like graphic design can be very close to visual art. But one is more like an expression of yourself. I don't know if yourself, but of your thoughts, not yourself, but of your thoughts and your feelings. And in design, you do it for someone else. And yeah, and it can take many forms. It's creativity. That could be painting, as I did in my videos. That could be sculpturing. Everything. I think like the question is, where's the border of like art and where's something not art? What makes a poem art? But a normal, like a written text on WhatsApp is not art.
yeah,
Like what makes it art?
it,
So it is very difficult if you get into it's like a gradient.
yeah.
There's no hard line. So yeah.
What was your most recent artwork that you did?
I'm Yesterday I did some sketching a house. It's actually pretty interesting. That's how I often come to ideas. I see something or have an idea, and somehow these ideas merge during the day and then come together. And so I had this idea of sketching or designing a house, almost like a temple.
Hmm.
And I had the inspiration also, as apart from that, I wanted to sketch a panda, a panther,
Oh,
or like a jaguar, like
yes.
the animal, not the car. And yesterday, I think yesterday or the day before, these two things came together. Hey, how about designing a circular house in the shape of a panda? So I was, I,
Crazy.
I couldn't build that here in Barcelona, but yeah, I'm building this vision of building a house at some point, designing a house. And yeah, so yesterday I was sketching that.
It's so interesting. I When I speak with some people, I like to imagine as well myself. I am thinking to buy a house and renovate it in some maybe other country. And I'm asking people as well, as you now told me a little vision of yourself, your house. And I'm curious more, what kind of house would it be inside if you would
Yeah.
imagine building a house for yourself?
How would your house look like?
Oh, my house. I like to buy it not in the city, but more in the rural place, maybe near the mountains. And it would be a cabin type, maybe that looks like a cabin from the outside, and with the rocks and the raw wood. But inside, it would be more modern, more minimal, but with some nice
Oh,
details
nice.
like Moroccan, those like very colorful plates that they do have on the walls
Oh,
or
yeah.
maybe on the
The tiles, you mean the tiles,
tile.
the
Exactly,
mosaic.
exactly. Yeah, those I would make it more minimal and more colorful as well on some accents. And of
Yeah.
course, the garden. What about you? How would you imagine your home?
Yeah, I have this idea of I would like to have like my home divided in three parts. So there's the living part, like the part where I live, and the living space, and then an atelier or a studio. I don't know if it should be attached or it would be like should be detached. So you should walk, so there's some distance between the two. And then there's a third unit I would think about that would be like a guest house so I can invite friends. Because I was also thinking it would be great to not live in the city center, at least at some point. For now, Barcelona is great, but at some point it's also overwhelming. And always when I go into nature, I notice how good it feels to be in nature. So I like the idea of, but I don't know if I'm too young for this because
Are you?
I don't know if I would get bored at some point. All right, let's go back
Yeah.
to Barcelona. The idea of living on the countryside, I also prefer mountains, I think. And then having a space where I can work, a space where I can live, and some guest house so I can invite friends so I don't, if I need company, by so I don't feel so
Yeah.
lonely and just having
That
friends
sounds
around, it would be great.
that sounds beautiful. I like the idea of it. I think
Sounds also
also,
expensive, so I gotta
yeah,
sell more
yes,
websites.
or expensive artwork, the sculptures or something. But I think different places have different energy. The city, the nature as well, or smaller cities, maybe the collective energy from the people. I'm
Mhm.
curious, in Barcelona, you mentioned there is a lot of creative communities, and you created as well your own. How do you feel having this kind of social culture living in it?
Have you been in Barcelona?
No.
You should check it out yourself. You're
All right.
invited.
All right. I will come at some point.
It's really great. I have not experienced this in Germany, living in Germany. Maybe Berlin, I guess Berlin, there's a big creative community, but I was in Cologne in Germany and there was a creative community, but it's so small. Like Barcelona is something else in terms of there's always events. And I think what's great about Barcelona, like the city is so nice. The weather is, you have mountains, you have beach, you have many nice studios, you have great coffees, you have restaurants. So the city is amazing. The weather, of course. So it attracts a lot of talent from all over the world. I think this is also great advantage. There are many expats because there are some people from New York, there's some people from Germany, there's some people from all countries, and this creative talent that comes here in Barcelona is just very great. And the nice thing is, as many people are expats in this community, like they're new here, like most people around 2 to 5 years in Barcelona, and especially at the beginning, they're looking for. That's why there's so many communities popping out because people have this longing to connect
Yeah,
and that's why they go to there's a Figma community, there's Bloomfield, there's another community called Creative Mornings. There's so many communities because people
that's so cool.
are new. And if you're like, for example, in a city like in Munich, I lived in Munich a few years ago, and there are many like there are also expats, but there are many local people. And local people normally there are a few exceptions, but they don't want to look for new friends most of the time. They have their
Yeah,
friends. If you're from Munich, Germany, and like you lived there for 20, 30 years, you're kind of saturated. Yeah, I have my friends. I'm not going to meet up, English speaking meetup. So some people feel uncomfortable speaking English,
yeah,
which is understandable. And here, as everyone is kind of new, they're looking for connection. And there are many meetups, like the people gathering together. There could be an art exhibition. There could be a talk. Like tomorrow, I have a design talk. I'm hosting a design talk. I'm not giving the talk. And yeah, it's there's so many opportunities. If and that's what I tell people. If you say, "Hey, I'm interested in, let's say, photography," you will find something probably the next few days, maybe even tomorrow, today or something. There's always something happening, some kind of festival. So the city is really like rich in culture, I would say. And this is something like if you travel, this is something I noticed to other places. They might be nice, but like there's not this kind of depth. At some point, it's okay, I saw it, but there's not like there's a little concert there. There's an art exhibition here. There's a design talk there. It's more shallow.
it
And
depends.
Barcelona is very rich in this sense. And the people is really the city is amazing, but it's also the people that make the city great. And yeah, you should come. You
That's
should.
what
And then
they thought. So, sorry to interrupt you a little bit, but that's what they thought. So that really the thing that changes, it's the people, what makes the one city feel different as well.
yeah,
And
obviously also the architecture and
yeah,
everything. But there's cities around Barcelona, smaller cities. It's very different. They're obviously smaller, but it does not have the same vibe. It feels like there's nothing happening there. And I'm
yeah,
not against it being quiet. If it's, I think there are these two extremes that I personally feel attracted to. Either it's a very intense city like Barcelona, there's a lot going on, or
mhm,
there's a very quiet place, like a
yeah,
little house in the forest. but I don't like the in-between. It's like a small city that's you're still surrounded by many other people, but
Yeah.
it's not people that I'm very curious about. There's no meetups, there's no design community, there's no art community. It's just a city with few people. And this is like a bad compromise for me.
So what you are missing in the other communities to create your own community.
Like when I started the community, that was 1.5 years ago. I was looking for creative community that comes together and does some professional things. What brings us together is that we are interested in design, but I also wanted to keep it casual in the sense of going, for example, hiking, which in the end we didn't do that often, but that was
Yeah.
the idea of not just, I didn't want it to be like a networking event where you just give your business cards to people,
Yes, yes.
which in the design world no one does. But I didn't want it to be like too formal, but more casual. But it has developed into this way, more giving talks, because I noticed also creating a community is almost like building a startup. Startup at the beginning,
Mhm.
often they don't know what they want to do.
Yeah,
It just develops. And same with the community. I did different kind of formats of events, and some attracted few people, other a little bit more. Sometimes there were events where there was no one. Yeah, but I was there, so I had a good time.
yeah.
But yeah, and then I started with the talks, the design talks, and I noticed, wow, you're hitting on something here because it attracted a lot of people. It was like, yeah, we got like 70 invitees and 35 came. So it was the 50% that shows up if it's a free event for me. And still, it was like way bigger. And on our biggest event that was a few months ago, we had 150 people. And that was really big. Tomorrow, I guess we're gonna be around 80 maybe.
That's
So it's
crazy.
yeah, and it only happens if you experiment.
Yeah.
If you're just doing the same thing, there's this famous quote. I don't know if it's really from Albert Einstein or not. Is doing the same thing and expecting different outcomes is the definition of stupidity or something like this. Again,
I
I don't know if
I think
it's
he said it. I remember something like this.
because sometimes there's some quotes they just attribute it to someone, but they never said it. So I don't know. But I think this is at least true for me. If I would have done the same events all the time, expecting at some point it would grow, it would not have happened. But just experimenting, I don't know, like experimenting. Let's go hiking, a designer hiking, or let's go to a museum. Let's go to. We had a show and tell session. We come together and everyone shows one project and then people can ask very casually 5 minutes little presentation in a coffee, and then you can ask question 5 minutes, and then we had a few people showing their work, their project they wanted to talk about. And yeah, and then we did the talks, and that's what I noticed. Wow, there's really demand, just like a startup. When I noticed, wow, there's actually
Yeah.
people who want to, in the case of the startup, I guess it's when people are willing to pay.
Super pain.
And yeah.
Yeah, that is really amazing. When I first found you, I saw the community event that you organized, and it was about something about the questions that caught my eye, that they were not simple networking questions about nothing, but something more deep. And I like as well when I meet people, usually my conversations go into some deeper realms, and that's what I'm attracted as well. And you mentioned now as well a lot of different ideas like hikes, for example, or those bad ideas. I was like really excited about that one. It's maybe
You should
I,
show
I will
up.
come. I will come sometime.
But you need the bad ideas to like you have to
Yeah,
like go
yes.
through it to notice what's really bad idea. It's just it was a good idea, but not many people found it a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Or you can make it super bad. But you are pretty creative and you find a lot of these ideas that are pretty spontaneous, pretty random. And I feel that I'm getting now speaking with you some inspiration as well. I also
thank
do
you.
have a bunch of random question cards, which are like made by the group of people that have this community around the world that says that every friend that you haven't met yet is your friend, basically. And they made question cards that when you meet a stranger, you speak like one question. I drag a card no, wait. You drag a card for me, and I drag a card for you, and it's for the dialogue, but these question cards are like super deep, and they get you into the through the vulnerability, maybe more, to get the person more deeply. Do you want to
Yeah,
play?
we can play that. Yeah, actually, we had an event like that. That was, I think, 2 months ago or three,
Yeah,
where we had a little dinner, not dinner, like a few drinks and some food, and like we had some questions that were a little bit opening up a deeper conversation. But like you were just, and I think like you said, like you come up with creative concepts. I think one approach to that is basically you take an idea that already exists and you connect it with another idea. I have a designer community, and there are many people who it's difficult for some designers. They're not everyone is like you that is like very open and approaches people. Some are like more reserved and like if they go to an event, they don't just randomly talk to people. So like I know this that there are some people who have that are not so extroverted, and I know the idea of like speed dating. It was not dating, but like the idea was like I like the idea of because the speed dating format makes people talk to each other for a bit. I have not been to this. I've been to a speed friending event.
yeah, that's good.
It was
That's
in
good.
Munich, and it was interesting because you spoke to random people for 7 minutes. So there was rotation, there was movement, and at the end you could speak to the person that you connected most.
Yeah,
Like it's like it makes you talk to different people, but in the end, like you can still go to the person that you connected with. And I combine these two ideas, like the speed friending or speed dating idea without the dating, and the idea of hey helping introverts. And
yeah,
then that's why I don't know how I called it creative speed networking or something. I think that was in February. Yeah.
that's very
Yeah.
cool.
And yeah, and the only thing it was like if you have 7 minutes and you have question like what's your vulnerability? For some people, that's a bit intense. Like,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
you don't have the time to really go deeper into it. So I think you have to be a bit cautious or keep that in mind. Hey, what's your biggest failure? Like, or
Oh,
like, I don't know,
100%.
what's your traumas? You don't want to really go that deep into when meeting. For some people, it's uncomfortable. I think it's nice if you can keep it fun like a
Yeah,
fun question, but that opens up to something that if you want to go deeper into the conversation, it allows the person, but it's not uncomfortable for the people in the conversation. But to be honest, I forgot all the questions, but I think they were nice. I also formatted it it was really nice with the geometric design.
yeah, that makes sense. I agree with it. These questions are more into that state where it can be uncomfortable. But what I tend to see, I also do it every episode, like a little experiment, something different than the last time, and seeing how it goes. And with these question cards, I saw that if, for example, I'm going in the start with them and start speaking maybe the first sentences with the question cards, they get a person into the deeper state, not deeper state, I mean about the deeper level of the
Mhm.
conversation more easily, break the ice more easily, and then the whole conversation goes as well more deeply. And
Mhm.
I like as well going natural, but sometimes I'm honestly very interested about the person deeper side, inner you, what you really think, who you really are. And I think sometimes these cards are really made for that. So if you want, we can do one question card. I can drag
Can
for
I
you.
pick them?
Oh yeah, you can pick that. Which
Take
one?
that one.
Which one?
This one. This, yeah.
This one?
No, the one next to it.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was like random. I don't know which, but it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so it's a good one. What is the advice that you would give someone who is currently struggling?
Hmm. It's very generic. It's very hard. Like, I think, I don't know if it's the good, most people who struggle, I feel like they like to just complain. And there's very little I can advise to those people. And then there are people who struggle. And I've been in this situation where I was like a few years ago, I was not a designer. I didn't study design. And I was like working as a paralegal, like an assistant for patent attorneys. And that was for me, that was a difficult situation because I was very unhappy with that on a personal level and also on a career level, like a professional level. But like this, let's say, suffering or this dissatisfaction in my life, I used to make a lot of effort and learn a lot, make a lot of online courses and to transition to UX design from that was a big change from like a paralegal just doing like assistant work to a creative job, competing with other people who have studied it. So like in my case, like the dissatisfaction or like me being unhappy with my situation was actually very helpful because I gained a lot of motivation from this. So I think there's these two approaches. Like some people are like unhappy or dissatisfied or like struggling, as you say, but they just like to complain. They don't sometimes, yeah, it's not enough dissatisfaction to really make an effort, or they just don't like it, or they just enjoy, like in Germany, like many other countries, they just like to complain, but they don't want to do anything about it. And then there are
Yeah.
some people they're not they're unhappy with their situation, but they actually do something about it. Yeah. So it depends
I
on the
think,
person.
yeah, I really think and agree with it. Thinking about depression, for example, people like I had it as well before. Like some and many people probably for some periods have it. But I also spoke with one person recently, and she said that people have that are depressed. They are depressed because they are not doing anything. They are just thinking and maybe thinking too much. Maybe something else happened, but usually it happens because you're not thinking about, like, you're thinking, but you're not doing anything to change.
Oh yeah. And yeah, and that's, I don't know what to tell these people. I know I call them, they're not just dreaming around. Oh, one day I would like to do this. Like, I am unhappy with where I am now, and I would love to do that. So, like, you're at point A, and you're unhappy, and you want to go to point B, but you're not doing anything to go from A to B. So, I could tell them, hey, try this, try that. But if you don't do the effort, so there's little for me to tell. And like the
Mhm.
others, they're like not happy at A, they want to go to B, and you just give them some advice, like whatever. Keep whatever posting or keep practicing this, keep doing that, and they actually do it. So,
What about
and then they're Greece, but
yeah, what about yourself when you are struggling? Probably all of us have those moments when we're like having a shit day. And how do you get help yourself, basically?
I just do it, I think. Even if it's difficult, I just I still do it. Even if it's difficult, let's say, I don't know, the client really doesn't like a project or design that I did. And obviously there's the side that in me that wants to give up, but I rarely give up a project. I think it's also the ego that giving up a project in some certain senses may make sense when the client is completely not keeping what you discussed, like having 100 edits or iteration rounds and not wanting to pay, even though it was discussed like that. But most of the time, I keep the project and I just try to make it work. I make it my challenge to. It's also ego again. I don't want to fail. I don't want to give up a project because I will see it as a failure.
Yeah.
And this happens, yeah, from time to time. Something not working out. And yeah, it's frustrating, but I rarely give up on a project. The only thing that I don't know that happened is like when I was so frustrated with design that I thought about, hey, I would like to transition into art because I think I have more freedom there. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
that makes sense.
There's also you just can take little breaks, like when it's very difficult. Sometimes just leaving the work here and going for a walk or having a coffee or maybe even sleeping about it the next day, it looks so
You're
fresh and
smiling.
it's not
Yeah.
as bad as it looked before. It's most of the
Yeah.
times you're like, oh, they're so important, this project, or this is a big failure. And like, when you look
Mhm.
back to it on it like a few months or years later, it's like, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely, it looks the worse at the moment, but if you look through the history of how many you already things completed, did, and went through the struggles and worked over, yeah, it makes sense that you can go through this one as well. But do you want to drag a question card for me as
Yes.
well? Actually, it was that I
How does it
forgot.
work?
I supposed to basically drag a card for you and you drag a card for me.
Oh,
But since you dragged it for yourself, it's even I should drag it for myself or you should drag it for myself.
no, you have to drag it from me.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's do this one.
Taking the easy one.
I have zero clue which one is which. No cheating. Okay, this is a stupid question. Why did you say yes to playing this game today? I think I can call a game as well. Speaking with you, it's a game. Playing these cards is a game as well. But for me, it's as well, if I call this podcast chats a game, then it would be meeting different people. And when each conversation is very different, and every time I feel like I'm meeting a person, we're sharing, and we go into deeper level. It feels like a mentorship program, so for some kind of that, but I like it. It's
Who's the mentor?
sometimes you, sometimes me. It's 50-50 basically. And I'm sure like whenever I get to the public and some random people say me something, maybe something nice, and I keep it with me for the whole day. And it's same with speaking with you as well. I got thoughts, ideas that maybe I'm going to use as well. Maybe about that creativity of matching the two ideas. And after each conversation, something is being kept. So
Yeah.
why I did it? Because I think meeting people and sharing is like the key to life, probably meeting people and learning and growing. And I see this project as a growth.
Yeah.
And these cards are like, as I said, deep questions, sometimes random like this card, but you learn something new. And why
Yeah.
not? And I would like for the last question, for me, it's very interesting to hear about people childhood because I hear that when people are very young, for example, maybe 5 years old, maybe younger, maybe older, but before they are put into the real world, they do what they love, and usually they end up doing the same when they grow up as well,
Like they do.
after some time.
And what do you mean they do the same as they grow as an
Not the
adult?
same, but when maybe you're 5 years old, you haven't went through the world. It haven't basically did this to you, and you are more emotional, less rational, and you're doing from the emotions what you, I don't know, enjoy, maybe your mission in life, something to that related.
Mhm.
And when you grow up, and maybe at some point you do random stuff to pay the bills, but after a while, you start doing what really it fulfills you, fulfills your purpose, mission. And sometimes it comes back to that young age. There is some correlation in between. And I'm
Mhm.
curious to hear what was your childhood like?
I lived in Peru, but I forgot most memories, but I guess this influenced me. And yeah, at school I was creative, painting or drawing. What I would say in this regard, I don't know if it's like has so much to do with creativity and with childhood, but I think for me, the way I see it with creativity is like magma. I always forget. Magma is when it's inside the earth, right? And I think lava is when it comes out. And I think creativity is like that. It's below the surface and there's different cracks from the surface that where it can come out. And for me, I had this creative urge from early on. Most people are creative when they're young, and later they think that they're not creative or that they're not. So they limit themselves, or other people tell them, and they accept it and they limit themselves. But yeah, I always wanted to do something creative, and I only saw that sometimes when I was a paralegal, for example, or I studied actually translation studies, so it's not related. You could say translation is something creative, but it's not visually. And so I wanted to do something creative. So that was within me, and I saw that early on. But I thought, and this magma came out in different ways. A while I thought I wanted to be a car designer, and then I thought I want to become an architect. Later, there was a while I forgot I didn't want to do anything creative, and hey, I just wanted more of a spiritual life, and I focused on that, or I just want to make a little bit of money, and but nothing super creative. And then at some point, that was like 7 years ago, 6 years ago, I started to feel this urge, this magma of doing something creative again. And then yeah, it came back. It started with art, then I searched it in design, and now art again. So you could say it's like from art to languages to design to art
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So my way to seeing, like, the way I like to see is like I have a vision of something. It's like being in a forest, and like I
Mhm.
know more or less, or I have an impression or a sense where the sunset is. You can see it a little bit, or like you have an idea where it is, where you want to go, but I don't know the exact path how I get to the sunset. I like maybe I have to like I can see the next few steps, but I don't see the whole way normally. Do I have to walk a little bit alongside the river and then jump across the fallen tree and then but like by going the way, I discover the way. But I know where it is more or less. I just don't know how to go there.
yeah,
And actually this is the interesting part. Like if
yeah,
you knew exactly what to do, it's like watching a soccer game that you have seen already. It's like the interesting part is like you don't know exactly. It's almost like playing a computer game and you already knew, okay, the coin that you're looking for, like it's like you have to go there and then after, yeah, then it's not a lot of, it's not very exciting. It's not very interesting. So the curiosity for me is like having this vision of what you want to do and like figuring it out. So that's why this transition to art is very exciting to me or very interesting because like I don't know how exactly. And it's not a bad thing. I think many people that are very uncomfortable with I don't know, like
yes,
how am I
yeah,
gonna do it? Who I'm gonna ask? I don't know. But this is actually like finding out. You can only find out these things in the world if you like discover them.
yeah. You're the explorer now, and it's interesting. So you see, the correlation is real. But maybe, as you say, there is many people that are creative in the beginning and at some point forget that. But it's interesting that you have went to the more paralegal side, if I spell it correctly, I don't know. But and then you came back to the creative side. I'm still curious a little bit. I'm going to pick a little bit, if you don't mind, of course.
Yeah.
And always say, what were your parents? Do you have so what were your parents like when you were growing up?
So my mom, this is rationalizing, but two things that I have, I see in my parents, like the more spiritual or the more spiritual side is more for my dad, and my mom is more like she's not crazy, but it's more the extroverted, entertaining, creative person. And yeah, and so my dad was more like the stricter person, more like rational, but and my mom was more like the very driven. She's very driven. She always wanted me to do well in school. And but also this creative side of she was painting herself. And yeah, but I think what was great that both parents, they basically let me do career-wise whatever I wanted. And this was very different for my mom, for example. She's from Peru, and her mom, I think a different generation where the parents want their children to become a doctor or an attorney. These are the typical either a
Yeah,
doctor or attorney. And that's
yeah,
what my mom, she started first. She's creative, but her parents or her mom, I don't know, they wanted her to become a doctor. And so she studied that for one semester, I think, and then she quit. She didn't like it. And then she became an attorney, which she didn't like neither. But even there,
Yeah.
she found a space within this field where she's comfortable. And yeah, but like in my generation, at least for me, my parents, for a long time, when I was 16, 18, I wanted to become a car designer. I wanted to work at Porsche as
Yeah,
exterior designer.
that's cool.
Or I wanted to become an architect. My parents, they didn't even comment. And I think this is great if parents don't interfere so much. I think, from my understanding, it's great when parents lead by their example and also obviously putting some borders. Okay, this don't do drugs, for example. But when it comes to my career, this is my life. I have to live like I
True.
think parents, in some cases, it makes sense. Parents say, "Hey, don't do this because this is really bad. There's some things you should not do." I would, I would not tell. I think parents should not tell their children, "Hey, become an attorney."
Yeah.
They have to live it. And if, like, and my impression is, many parents tell this, or I think it's more of the last generation, the previous generation, not I think our generation, but it's like they want to become an attorney. They want to become a doctor. So they're like outsourcing their ambition or their goals to their children. And like it's your goals and it's okay. And if you didn't become an attorney, I mean,
Yeah.
you could become,
Yeah.
you know, that's your goal. In my view, like they shouldn't force anyone to study this and that because they have to live with that. So yeah. So
I
in
think
this sense, I
so.
was
Yeah.
very lucky that I could do whatever I want.
I'm very happy for you to hear that as well. I'm also curious, have you ever thought of returning to Peru, like to
Mm,
live
I'm
or live for some time?
I like my mom is there and my brother and my grandma, so I visit them from time to time. But like there are many parts that I don't like about Peru. Like visually, for example, Lima is not a nice place. Like the food I like, but like there's a lot of contamination in the air. It's very loud. It's can be sketchy in some areas. And there's a big gap between there's crime, there's a gap between poor and rich to a degree that we don't know in Europe, because in Europe, at least in Germany, like obviously they're super rich and then there's like poor people, but it's not like in Peru, like the gap. And but there's some things actually I would like to explore more. It's like the like Peruvian craftsmen, like
Mhm.
the Incas, for example. Like it's
The
strange. I'm
art,
very attracted to certain kind of like aesthetics, like more crafted aesthetics from like
yes.
from that could be African art, for example, but or like Asian art. But actually, like there are similar things in Peru too. Like when you see, for example, for carpets, carpet design looks very different if it's like from Africa or Asia, but or Peru. But there's some things that they have in common: the colors, sometimes even the geometric shapes. So yeah, I'm curious to like discovering this not minimal design, but more aesthetic, like
Based on
more
culture.
yeah, on my and the culture that my mom at least came from, or like me two part. So
That
instead of looking for it, it's strange. I heard this a few times. I don't know who told me. Like we look for certain things in different cultures, but actually in your own culture, obviously you can explore other cultures too, but there's it's also rich in terms of the Inca culture. Why am I so attracted to other cultures, let's say from Asia? Even though, for example, the Inca culture was very detailed. I really like this, the rocks, for example, the sculptures of it's crazy interesting. Or
yeah,
like in Mexico, there are also some interesting. I'm not from Mexico, but in your own space, there's also much interesting to discover. It's not always out there, like in
mhm.
Asia or somewhere else.
I think when we're young, we want to explore, and then we come back a little bit to the roots, to what we have here. Yeah. So I want to close our conversation, and I really enjoyed speaking with you and meeting you.
Thank you.
And as well, I would like to ask for a feedback. What do you think? How was it speaking with me today? You can, I love feedback, If there is things that you think I should consider or don't do, it's open.
So, first of all, thank you for inviting me. It was my first interview.
Really,
And it was
you're
overall, it
so
was,
cool, man.
huh?
Yeah, you're so cool. I thought you probably have a lot of these discussions.
What do you mean?
But
What do you mean?
I'm very, no, I thought you're from meeting you today and understanding you're very cool. And I think you might have a lot more of these ones in the future if you're open to.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to. I think overall, what I really like is was very casual. The talk, it was just from time to time, I have calls like this, not too many, but just speaking with other creatives and casually, almost like a hangout. And so this takes part of the pressure because if you know it's recorded and like people will see it and maybe there's a part I didn't like, but I think you gave me the vibe like you're very friendly and it's very casual and if yeah, yeah, it's not a big pressure. I felt a bit, but I forgot about it during the talk.
That's good. That's good. The same here. When I usually start, I get some pressure, but it goes away. And in
And
this,
I think what's nice what you did, like introducing certain things. It's nice if it's conversational. Sometimes it's nice to, as you said, bring in cards or something that interrupts. I think especially for the viewer, it's interesting. I don't know if you work with that, like overlays. Something later, if people see the talk, it's not just two people looking at each other, but it's like something like, hey, when you mention certain thing, like showing certain thing.
that's good.
So
I
I
had
think this would make it visually more interesting, I think. And when I'm referring to whatever you show it, I don't know. That's like because then people can refer to it. Like when I'm saying, hey, I don't know, the design community in Barcelona, and or when I say, hey, Barcelona is a beautiful city, and like you show a picture of Barcelona, I think visually that one it's like a pattern breaker. It's not just like 1 hour of two people just speaking.
for sure, for sure. I totally agree with you. And in writing all of them down, I think there will be 195 iterations. So with all of these ones, it's not for clients. It's not. It's for me, and I'm really happy to hear. It's almost like you're a client, but this is a good feedback. If you just say like this, yeah,
But I
thanks a
think it's
lot.
very. I also like the idea that you have designers from each country because I thought about this design, like most of the design, at least that I'm in touch with, is very Eurocentric. It's either from France, it's like from UK, from Germany, the US, and maybe Canada. Yeah, Canada too. But you don't hear, for example, a lot about, hey, how is the design in, I don't know, Uganda?
Yeah,
What is
yeah,
happening in Chinese designer? There's many Chinese, but we never hear about Chinese designer or like how about the design of someone living in Nepal? I
yes,
think it's
yes,
very interesting to like that could be maybe also interesting for you if you get the permission from the designers to show their work because that's not just like you're just talking to the design bubble, which is very, as I said, like very Eurocentric. It's like just
yes.
Europe and the US and Canada and the others like we don't hardly any know about anything about them. So you're
And
breaking it by talking to people from different places. So speaking with the German designers probably there might be more interesting, like, hey, speaking with someone from far
oh
away.
no, yeah, I know. You know, every discussion, every chat is like totally different, and it depends on people. And so far, like each person that they meet, it's so interesting to speak with. It brings something interesting from their background. Not that you're a German, but you're a German that lives in Spain, that lived around the world, that is from Peruvian. So every person has same, not same, but a lot of small parts that make them who you are. And
Yeah.
this is the most interesting part as well.
How many designers did you have? Like how many interviews? Five?
So I released three, but you the sixth episode that I recorded.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
There is
When
with Lithuania, with Vietnam, with what I forgot the analysis paralysis, but the Lithuania, then it was with Australia, with the Vietnam, with Austria, with USA, and then with what do you consider yourself, Peruvian, Spanish, or German?
You can put me in the German bucket.
Okay.
I thought
But
like maybe it would be interesting if you just said I'm the Peruvian designer. But like I lived most of my time in Germany.
yeah,
Yeah. You know what you also could do at some point? You still have a lot of people until you get to 195.
true, true.
But I think it would be interesting if you could even make a little book about it at some point.
That's so cool idea of all of the people. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
it's
do you
almost
manage?
like a bit retro, like having a collection of, hey, could be like a book like this with a few samples of work. Like printing can even be black and white if colors are expensive to print, but you can see, and it would be
Pros
nice, you
love.
know. You don't have to make it, you can make a small scale publication. And I think it would be great. Like, at least, like, I would see, because I told you I was reading a book about Miro. And, like, if you
Explain.
look back on in 10, 20 years, you look back and you have a physical book. It's not
Yeah,
about
yeah.
you selling 10,000 copies. Maybe you're just gonna sell or give away 10 copies, but at least you made a book. I think that would be a
That's
great
a good
something to look
idea.
back on.
Yeah, and it's physical, as you say, the physical photo, it's physical, just writing physically then is different than in a notebook and reading it as well. I'm following some people that also have a bit similar idea, not similar, but they basically have a plan of 4 years to go in every country and meet a random local and cook a dinner for them. And by that, like meeting a person, having this video of them, of course, its video is the result, but the purpose of it for them is meeting the people and understanding them deeply. And after that, they are planning to invite and fly in all of the people that they met through one to the one dinner. So it reminded me because you told about the book, and it's similar to that in some way. Yeah, putting everyone and remembering it as well together, and maybe sending the book to all of the people that I have met on the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I actually thought exactly the same when we were talking right now. It would be great if you, it's many people, it's 195 books. But yeah, probably you're gonna, until you get to 195, it's gonna be probably 2, 3 years
Quite,
if you
quite a
do.
while. Yeah.
So you still have time to figure this out. But yeah,
I'm young, I can do that. Yeah, I'm just saying I'm 25 and I'm young, so I can do that. Bro,
yeah. But you never know. Life sometimes.
for sure, for sure. By the way, we you spoke a little bit about the family, and I'm just curious, do you have a family, like children?
Oh no, I'm 33, but I don't. And I don't really want to have children. I just dedicate my life to creativity.
And that's okay. I think for all of the people, it's totally different.
I think other people take care of humanity too.
Yeah, someone needs to take care of the creativity. It's as well the
Yeah.
same as you're reading that book about some person from, I forgot the name of him, with the respect, of course, but the same. We're reading about him now, and
Yeah.
he put the work so that we could remember him. So you're doing the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. I think that's my contribution. Obviously, it's not just the creative work, but every person, if, yeah, as you said, these creatives or artists, even decades later, people are still curious, hey, what did they do? Especially like Spain has many artists, and what did they do? And they're still inspiring us. Yeah, it's not just for the moment and disappears. And I also think everything that comes into the world will at some point disappear. But I think the thing with the book, I feel like with digital, we put so much work into a post, and the post just pops up, and then maybe it gets viral. Most
And
of
then
them doesn't.
forget it. Yeah.
And then yeah, it disappears. No one really scrolls on the feed to get 5 years back. It's like just a recent three post that you check out. And so I think it's nice if you can the
And
book at some point also dissolve, but
the
it's
same,
there somehow.
it's there on your shelf.
Yeah.
Seeing them, touching them. It's a lot of senses. And as
Yeah.
well, as you say, there is now, I see around probably 50 books on your shelf. I don't see 50 posts at once, and you can
Yeah.
see different colors. You can instantly remember that you maybe read about it something. It's
Yeah.
a very interesting idea. I like how you're thinking, your creativity and the
Yeah.
process.
I also think this is one of the things that I like about art, or my move into art, or like sculpture and painting, is like it's there. Even if you make, I don't know, a painting or sculpture, it's there. And with digital things, they just like when
It's
you
very,
make a website, for example, it's there, but it's there for 3 years, and then there's a
yeah,
relaunch,
yeah.
and then it disappears, and then it's a post that no one, yeah, everything that comes into the world will at some point like, it changes and then disappears. But it's still nice if you made a sculpture or painting and it's there for decades, and it's not just a website that after 2 years or 3 years there is a relaunch or a rebranding, and like it's like I don't know, it's like designing napkins. They're used and then they're thrown away. And that's how sometimes digital design feels. You do it and it's used. If you do a landing page for a campaign or whatever, it's there. They use it. They put
Yeah.
ads. They pay for ads so people check it out. And then the campaign runs out and then the page kind of disappears.
It's different. It's interesting and different how we think. I as well agree with you, but originally I studied business management. And okay, I will start a little from the different side that every person that goes and does maybe his career, even from the marine biology, you can come and put it so that it would be a benefit for you, work for you. And for me, business is where I match these together, design and business, two kind of different things. And the majority of my work is about conversions or almost. And I really miss that. It's not that I had it before. I was as well a child who paints a lot. And I think it's becoming more and more now, the more I work in design. But it's really interesting how you see it and to compare it with my reality at the moment. I'm still in that probably where you have been before to
But are
in
you unhappy with it?
functional. Could you repeat?
Are you unhappy with it?
I'm not. Actually, I'm it's not that I'm happy or unhappy. Sometimes I am happy, sometimes I'm unhappy. It's normal with the projects. But from the deeper level, I feel that the more I'm sitting, the more I'm feeling that it's not really my place and I want to go do some physical stuff, help people. And but recently I did track a little bit myself. I just wrote some things and I saw the pattern that I like social projects. And like a couple of years ago, we with the friends created a platform to match strangers for like fun activities in the city. Then 1 year ago, we with the friends started organizing like uh, volunteering trips to the random rural villages in Lithuania to help completely random people by knocking on their doors and cook dinner for them with the food that we brought. And it's about helping people. And now I'm
You
starting like this podcast, and it's like something related to the people, what I really enjoy, what brings me meaning.
yeah. That's why I think like what for me, like I told you the example with the magma coming out, like you're just exploring and like you're almost like searching for your way how this like your I don't know however you want to call it calling or like your desire to like for me the desire to create something for you the desire to socialize or help other people you're experimenting with and I think that's great if you're just like oh at some point I would like to do this and that but you don't do anything about it yeah okay you will not find out by not doing anything like sitting on the sofa like you will not find out but you trying hey I can try an app doesn't have to work out. You tried, maybe you failed, maybe you succeeded, but at least you learned something. And then you try something else. Same as I did experiment with the formats at Bloomfield, like the design community. I had to like experiment different things. So I found, oh, actually, this is like the right direction with the talks that really work well. And same with you. It's just like you experimenting. It's like almost like it wants to come out like this urge to like urge to help people or bring people together, or for me the urge to create something. And then by exploring, by testing, like it's like where
You get
works.
some different data, and then you find the real thing that,
There's
yeah,
the conversions specialist.
the specialty. I didn't even think about that, but you called it. You called it. Yeah, and
But also one more thing, I think
yeah,
it's too easy to say, oh yeah, when I was younger, everything was better, and like now it's like I just have to sit. We're very fortunate. Even like we just have to sit and like we sit and we someone pays us money. It's not that bad. Like there are different situations like where people are really
of
having a
course.
much more difficult situation. But if you can like can find what you're really looking for in something else, like what you're doing, it's also great. I don't want to say it's like just creativity and the rest is complete. No, it's if you enjoy, if you like, for example, making about strategy, how to improve conversions, not bad. Some people like I think idealize, oh, when I was a child, I was just painting, and now I'm like, yeah, but you're making money and like you can support yourself and you can travel. Which doesn't mean it can also become like a golden cage if you're like, hey, it's just pays you everything. But it's also good to see the benefits from it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also remembered when we spoke initially about this conversation, an idea popped into my head as well. Sometimes people that are working physical jobs are more happier than the people that are working with the computer, for example, us doing the computer stuff. Maybe the creative stuff. The creative also brings the fulfillment, but we miss the physical touch with things just by hands, and biologically it helps us to manage stress.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think that that is a thing that sometimes I crave as well. And I'm just thinking now that I will finish my job today, even after you speaking, I will do some job and then I will go into the garden and work with some vegetables in the garden just to make it.
it's nice if you can feel it and you
Yeah.
can yeah smell the ground.
Yeah. And yeah, it brings something else. Actually, I forgot to ask one more question that was in my mind for this entire time. I hope you're not in the rush anymore. If you say you can go. But I was really curious at one point in our conversation about your studio, Double Play. How did this born? It's the logo with the tennis, and you're as well with your double. And this just brought me a bunch of more questions like, how did you two met, the two doubles?
Okay, and so Jacob and I met on LinkedIn. That was I don't know a few years ago, 2.5 years ago, I think. And we talked on LinkedIn, and then we had a call, and yeah, and then we started working on one project, another project, and then it kind of developed into this, how do you say, constellation or collective double play. And first it was called Studio 22, and
Oh,
it was very generic. It's okay, Studio Y
yeah,
22 because yeah, because like it was
why
founded
not?
2022. So that was the reason basically. And yeah, and the inspiration for the branding indirectly, there's a creative festival. It's called Blank in Barcelona. And they basically had a brand. It's not related to it, but like I like the thinking there. They basically got inspired in their branding from the farmer industry, and they compared the whole concept visually. It felt very familiar because like they had I don't know like all kinds of things that like had references, like working with references to the farmer industry, and but they gave it a different meaning. It's like they used the shell of the farmer industry, but they used it for their purpose. And I thought I don't know if I show you, if I explain you like this, if it's that wow, but like when I saw that, it was really nice. And I thought it would be great if we like apply the same principle, obviously not related to that, but like working with a metaphor, basically. Metaphor comparison, I always confuse these two. Basically comparing like the studio, like the dynamic that we have, the back and forth and the nature of challenging each other, but like with the goal to have a great outcome. And I wanted, and we compare it with like tennis, like sports. And this also fits because it's like a small studio. Tennis is not like a huge, it's not like soccer or something, like very boutique like sport. And also the studio's position as a premium design studio. And like tennis is a great metaphor for that because basically it's not football. Like football is very
Yeah,
mainstream. It's not
yeah.
something like you wouldn't want to call yourself the soccer studio. And it's also not like golf. Golf is very elitist. And tennis is not so quick. And tennis is a nice in between. It's like the studio's position like on a premium level, but it's still dynamic and yeah.
The
So
medium.
yeah, and also like the comparison. The ball is like the challenges and like double play in the sense of like in a team of two, you face the challenges. Actually, the team is bigger, but like, and in the logo, that's Jacob, by the way. I traced
That's
Jacob.
crazy. That's crazy. This is one of the studio brands that really has a leaves a feeling, leaves you thinking. That's cool. And I use this word a lot in our conversation, but I mean it with this time, not just saying. And I like it.
Yeah, that was also one of the ideas. There's many studios. Many of them are called something with studio. They use some kind of Helvetica font in their studio. The website is black and white. And this has a reason that the projects that are like previewed in the on the website can really pop out. But they look very generic. And even though there are many studios and agencies that do amazing work, but many of them look very, very similar. There are very few agencies that are very brave and say, hey, let's use the tennis vibe and use the blue that hardly anyone uses. It's a blue that sticks in the mind. All the websites that are black, white, grayish, like light gray, they look nice and sleek, look modern, clean, sleek, but they also look like Studio A, Studio B, Studio C. And we really wanted to make it different here. Yeah, it should look sleek, but it should also like be different from the rest.
Yes, it's really inspiring. You're telling me so many details from the backstage of creating it. I think we could keep speaking more and more about this. And I think let's leave it for the next time when maybe
Cool.
we meet. If you want to come visit Lithuania, you're welcome. You have a place here. And
Cool. Or you invite me now. I'm the German designer, and you invite me in 1 year again, and I put like maybe I have different hair, and I'm the Peruvian designer.
maybe we can
Or
do
I have
that.
less hair, maybe.
Actually, with this comes a little, not difficulty, but interesting thing, because I have people, for example, who have been born in the UK and have been living in there for until maybe 20s, and then went to the Vietnam, where their roots, for example, like your roots come from the Peruvian, and they consider themselves Vietnamese. So I understood that I'm leaving this freedom for the person. If, for example, you would be German, say, let's say, but you moved now to Spain and you really feel that Spain is your where you belong, I would consider that you're Spanish
Mhm.
and would have no complications around it.
You're not like a bureaucracy office. If you allow this flexibility, I think that's great for people. Like you don't require people to show the passport. Are you really German?
Yeah. Do
Thank
you
you so
have
much.
a German or Peruvian passport?
I have both. You want to see them?
I want. Yeah. Is it legal? I don't think it's legal to show on camera. But
No, I don't have them anywhere. I don't know where exactly it is. You have to
yeah,
trust me.
okay, I will trust them. I was just curious to see them because each passport looks different. But
The Per the Peruvian doesn't look that. It's it looks like a credit card. It's
oh,
not the German passport is like all European. It's like a little book, but the Peruvian is like they printed. It's very practical. Actually, from a design point of view, it's probably better because you could put it into your wallet, but the passport is so big. Actually, think about it. It's actually with the sheets. It's actually not very practical. You cannot put your European passport into your wallet. It's always outside when you fly. So actually, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm also confusing the passport, the Peruvian passport with there's the, how do you
ID.
say? ID, maybe I'm confusing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it would be helpful if the European passport would be just like a credit card.
Okay, just the last idea, because we could keep speaking, but recently my friend has been in the Erasmus in the Italia, and they do have a thing where for each student, for their ID card, student ID card, they have basically partnered with the some bank of the Italy, and they give you a student card, but it's the card of the bank as well. So you have a student card and instantly a bank card, and it's
Wow.
interesting solution as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's smart. I think from the bank it makes sense because they're kind of
Yeah, yeah,
you're kind of making them hooked to staying with the bank for the rest of their life because it was the
yeah,
first bank.
that makes sense. That makes sense. All right,
I don't
man.
know. That's my assumption, but thank you so much.
You too. You
Have a
too,
good
man.
day. Have
You
a
too.
good time in the garden.
I will have my fun. You too. Enjoy it. Enjoy the
Thank
evening.
you.
See you.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.